Delighted to introduce the latest member of the Sledge team. He is a former county professional with Lancashire and Durham, and he's now batting coach at Melbourne Cricket Club. Nick Speaky, welcome to the Sledge.
Thanks, Jonathan. Good to be here.
Now, Nick, we've got you on the show today because you're a batting coach and you're our analyst, for want of a better word, here at the Sledge. And the first question I'd like to ask you is, what did you identify in the first test at Brisbane that an Australian player did, an Australian batsman did, to change their technique?
Clark, after his first innings dismissal, obviously was not what he was looking for, given what he went through with Broad in the summer. I personally thought he was too far inside the line of the ball, so he was too much leg side of the ball. He very much, his hands go up to the ball. That's a natural instinct for him. Others, their hands go down when they're evading. He goes up to play, which is fine, but from that position you've got to look to attack as well. First innings he used a forward press, so basically his left foot pushed forward and towards the off stump, which left his right foot behind, so he's in a closed off position.
Yeah.
So when the ball is at the left shoulder, if his hands go up and they can't get up high enough, he has to go to the left to bail out.
And what did you identify in the second innings?
So the second innings he used his trigger was a back trigger, so rather than there, his back foot basically mirrored the front foot trigger, but it went back to off stump. He left his left foot here, that got his right shoulder basically in line with off stump, and he had him in a much better position. I think England probably missed a trick, not probably bowling as well as they did in the first innings to him in them first 10 or 15 balls. Maybe they could have waited, maybe they could have pushed the ball up further. It's bluff, non-bluff, bluff, non-bluff. What do you do? I mean, he knew what was going to come. Do you wait? Do you keep it up your sleeve? Or do you go after him? And they went after him, and to his credit, he got in a good position. The first shot he played through mid-wicket was a great shot.
Is that a decision that a technical decision that he would have changed himself, or would he have been working on that with his coach, do you think?
He would have been working on it, but it's something that he's made that decision overnight. He would have had, obviously, the England innings to mull over it. He would have talked to Lehman and Durham.
Yeah.
But I wrote a piece in Backpage Lead about it, and I think the biggest tick for him is he made a commitment and he changed it. He changed his technique. And he didn't think about it, he went out there and did it.
As a player, how easy is it to change your technique in that short space of time?
At that level, they should be able to do it. I changed my grip. Graham Gooch, who was the batting coach at Durham previously, and when I was captain, he was batting coach at Durham. Unbelievable thinker. He's quite a straightforward thinker, but his knowledge of batsmanship is extraordinary. He coaches run making, not batting. That's one of his mantras. But Gucci talked about changing your grip to the ball turning in and the ball turning away. So to an off spinner, he would promote a lower bottom hand and a stronger bottom hand, because you're going to look to hit, in England more so, you're going to look to hit the ball through the leg side, slower, low turning pitches. Clark wouldn't have changed his grip, but that small trigger change is something that he's got the skills to do, and fair play to him. He put it into play, and it was great. He made 100, a runnable 100 nearly.
Looking ahead to the second test in Adelaide, one of the Australian batsmen who looks great with a white ball but struggles with a red is Shane Watson. As a batting coach, have you identified anything that he could do to improve his test form?
I think he needs to rotate the strike. He just gets stuck. He plays great shots. England played a very straight mid-on to him, if you remember, to all bowlers. They played mid-wicket, basically on the corner, so very straight, and they pitched up, and he just kept driving to mid-on. But there's no urgency in changing the strike. He's always looking for a double, a two, a three, or a four. I would be urging him as a batting partner. I'd make him run.
Right, okay.
He needs that.
The responsibility isn't just his.
Not just with him, it's the guy at the other end as well. Make him run. He's always played that way. You probably know that, but if you think now the way he's played, how many times do you actually see him drop and run or take mid-on? Mid-on was probably, in a one-day game, mid-on would have been on the circle nearly. So that's a single. In one-day cricket, we coach that as if they're on the circle, you go. You hit it up to him, that's one. So that's just rotating the strike, and it gets his score moving.
As a fan observing that, we would see that kind of thing as a bit of a selfish trait. Is that how you would see it? And if so, that becomes more of a delicate situation to coach in a player. How would you handle that?
I'd just say, hey Shane, you can score more runs easily by just taking singles. So a 50 ball 23, which he made, or 60 ball, he actually played really solid in the first innings, becomes 35 or maybe 32. You can't turn down runs. You know, it's like a business saying, nah, I don't really need that money, I'm okay, I'll just take that money. You know, you just don't do it. It's just, there's runs there, so take them.
Well, one of his nicknames is the Wall Street Crash, so maybe that's where he's been going wrong.
Yeah, maybe. He's an enigma. I mean, Watson is, you know, there's much written and there's much talked about him, but that for me would be a really simple thing for him to give him. That's not a technique change.
Yeah.
You're not trying to stop him bursting the ball through the field. You're just adding a layer to his batting.
Which of the England batsmen did you notice really struggling in the Gabba test?
Probably which England batsman went well in the Gabba test. It's probably an easier question. I felt that I felt from the top, you know, they were fairly solid that session before lunch. Carberry in his second test, it's really his first test, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I know he played a game a while ago. You know, him and Cook started well. I think, you know, obviously losing the wicket, losing Trott before lunch was pivotal. To me, that was poor batsmanship. That over shouldn't have been allowed to be bowled. There should have been.
There's quite an issue in Australia with England's gamesmanship. Where as a batsman when you're in the middle, how aware are you of the clock and how many overs are likely to get in before a session break?
Oh, you know, your eyes are on the clock from probably 15 minutes. I call it red time as a coach.
Okay.
Time either side of breaks. If you go back over the course of any first-class games test matches, there would be clumps and clumps of wickets that fall in and around that red time. Gamesmanship, I mean, we've seen the other end of gamesmanship at the end of the test match with what's gone on, you know, with the call it sledging or call it what you want. That's just another, I mean, delaying. You're not delaying, you're just manipulating the clock to your favour. To not face that over at Johnson should have been priority. Obviously, to get back to your question, first game at the Gabba for 4 years or 3 years on a surface they've played obviously in the UK. They've done very little since. The wicket was very different, so it did accentuate some, you know, people's, I guess. You know, above the waist is where it was at the whole test match. England just played too much. They played too much at the ball for my.
How long does it take to get used to the different bounces in different conditions?
Well, when you're in an innings, you've got one chance, haven't you? And I just felt that there probably wasn't enough fight, as in trying to get through that first 10, 20, 30 balls and trying to work it out. For me, the second test, I would say, Cook, you can take Johnson on, the rest of you, Peterson included, put it away, the horizontal bat shot, get the hands down, get it going past your shoulders, and just evade him. I mean, I would evade him and tire him. Harris bowls a really good short ball. He bowls a change-up ball, a natural change-up ball, so it would be probably 4, 5, 6k quicker than his stop ball. But getting back to Johnson, who's fast, like, when people bowl fast, it's fast. When they bowl very fast, the difference between very fast and fast is a lot, in my experience, my limited experience of playing county cricket when Marshall and Ambrose and all them boys were around. They had a very fast and a fast, and he's at that point. He's at very fast. So I would be encouraging him to get the hands down, to let the ball go through. I'd say to Cook, you're the one guy that can take him on. Cook has been coached since Gooch, since he's been 14. Gooch was the best above the waist player in the world. That's what he told everybody, and it's true. He was an amazing player above the waist. He had his troubles below the waist with Alderman and all that stuff in '89 or whatever it was. But Cook is a great player. The rest of them, Peterson included, I would say, stay down, hands down, let it go either side. You know, if England get to the second and third spell, well then maybe we can start looking to score. But I would to Johnson, I'd be hands down and let him go. Another
England batsman that's had a lot of trouble in all forms recently is Matt Prior. He struggled especially against Nathan Lyon at Brisbane. That awkward forward prod, looking to work it on the leg side. He just looked out of his depth. What can you do to recover a technique as flawed as that?
Yeah, I don't think it's technique, Jonathan. I think both them balls should have been played with a horizontal bat. He's a sweeper and he's a hitter. I mean, he's just not a pusher. He's short of runs. He's averaging 15 in his last 7 innings. I would say, as a batting coach, I'm in with Gucci. I would say Harris and Johnson, we block, and block doesn't mean block the ball. It means we block and stop their momentum. And Siddle and Lyon, we need to put under pressure. Batters to put Lyon under pressure. Prior's probably near the top of the list. He's a hitter of spin. He needs to twist now. He shouldn't stick. If he's got the cards, if he's sat on 14, he's got to twist. And Lyon's his way out, I reckon, and I think he can take him on. I don't think that's a technical thing. That's a green light to get down out of his crease and get over it and get the field back.
Now, looking ahead to the Adelaide Test, England are going to have to make one change because Jonathan Trott's no longer going to be in the team. Who would you bring in, and would you change anything else in the setup?
I don't think they should go to 2 spinners. Swan obviously had a game to forget. He's a nailed-on Test match cricketer. He needs more spark with his batting. I'm really disappointed the way he's going about his batting. Not in making 2 noughts. He's just coming out and offering nothing. He's better than that. So I would keep the balance the same and obviously just bring a batter in. What they do with the order, I think Root will be pushed up to 3 and Bell will stay at 5. We might be a bit confused with Bairstow because of he might have kept in this first test, but primarily he's picked as a batsman. So he obviously played through the Ashes series. It wouldn't surprise me if they went to him. I like Johnny Bairstow. He reminds me a lot of Paul Collingwood, who I played a lot with at Durham.
It's the hair, isn't it?
It's the hair and it's also the attitude. He's got an attitude. Gooch really likes him. And liking him isn't liking him. He's just liking the way he goes about it and the way he thinks about it. He'll have plenty on his plate if he does get the nod. If Gary Ballance gets the nod, apparently he's a pretty level-headed sort of. He's a Yorkshireman, which is a bit of a problem, but
sort of.
Yeah. So how many's in the team now? There's Root. Yeah. Anyway, I'd leave the balance primarily the same though. The 3 quicks and Swan.
Okay.
Saying that, should we leave Tremlett in? I'm not sure. I would have gone with Finn over Tremlett in Brisbane. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which way they'll go. I guess they'll leave Tremlett in.
Nick, thank you for your time. We'll find out what happens when the second test gets underway in Adelaide. For our sake, let's just hope that England can level the series and take it to Perth as a genuine game.